Discovered. How a shoeless girl's heartwarming story amazed a millionaire CEO among 25 candidates. In a town overshadowed by glistening skyscrapers, Mia McCoy was a fiery beacon of hope. She walked the cracked pavement of her neighborhood, her feet bare, brushing against the warm asphalt, each step a reminder of struggles not only hers but her single mother's too. Barefoot and bright-eyed, she defied her circumstances with an unyielding spirit. Mia was the girl who greeted each morning with a smile, ignoring the whispers about those people in her community. When she volunteered at the community center, her laughter was contagious, and the kids flocked to her, clinging to her warmth like it was a lifeline. Despite the worn-out shoes that sat in her tiny closet sneakers with holes that echoed her family's financial woes, Mia had dreams larger than her reality. She was fiercely protective of her aspirations, running through books and mentoring younger kids. One day, while scouring the community center's bulletin board, a flyer caught her eye. A summer internship with a prestigious company, and only 25 candidates would be selected. Her heart raced. This was her shot. Mia spent nights rehearsing, sharing her stories of triumph and hardship, crafting a narrative that would show the interviewers just how strong she truly was. The day of the interview dawned, and she walked into the office with her head high and hope in her heart. Her words poured out like sunshine as she spoke of her mother's sacrifices, her commitment to the community, and her relentless pursuit of knowledge. Her passion lit a fire in the room, drawing nods from the interviewers. It felt electric. But as the days wore on, shadows began to creep in. Mia overheard whispers in the halls. Some said she had no chance against the polished resumes of the privileged college students. The stark reality of bias took root in her heart, each word a knife that cut through her fervor. How could they judge her on the shoes she wore, or the home she came from? Each revelation ignited her defiance. She was determined to voice not just her story, but those of the countless others silenced by prejudice. During a follow-up meeting with the millionaire CEO overseeing the internship, she stepped forward, taking a deep breath that could almost shatter the silence. "I'm more than my background," she declared, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "This isn't just about me. It's about kids who walk the same streets I do, who dream even when hope seems lost." Her words struck a chord, echoing through the room, challenging the very foundations of what merit meant in society. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Mia could see heads nodding, a connection forming. The audience, previously divided, was beginning to unite under her truth. The millionaire CEO looked contemplative, challenged as he grappled with his own biases. As the silence stretched out, Mia's heart raced. This was not just about her. This was about recognition, justice, and the unapologetic pursuit of the American dream. But as she stood there, the weight of the moment pressed on her. Would her courage turn the tide in her favor? Would they see her for who she truly was, or would the shadows of privilege blot out her light? The room held its breath, and Mia's future hung in the balance, setting the stage for a collision between ambition and bias, leaving everyone eager for what would unfold next. Mia felt the tension wrapping around her like a thick fog. Each second seemed to stretch longer than the last. She was acutely aware of the eyes watching her. The whispers that had once felt like daggers now dulled into a hum in her ears. Would they truly understand her? Would her truth resonate beyond the polished surfaces of their world? The CO's gaze softened as he leaned forward, breaking the heavy silence. He seemed to grasp the pulse of the moment, the weight of her words hitting him like a wave. "Your perspective is powerful, Mia," he finally replied. The room seemed to inhale, collectively bracing for what might come next. "But we also need to see tangible evidence of your skills. How can you bring your dreams into our team?" Mia's mind raced. She had aced the storytelling part, but now it was time to shift gears. "I've led workshops for kids, teaching them to believe in themselves," she said, finding her footing. "I see their potential before they even do. I can leverage that same passion here. By uplifting others, I'll uplift myself in this company." Her heart pounded as each word emerged, fueled by urgency and craving for connection. The CEO nodded slowly, but she noticed some of the others still glanced at their notes, skeptical. A flicker of doubt threatened to diminish her spirit. She closed her eyes for a moment, drawing in a breath deep from her core. It was time to delve deeper. My mother works 2 jobs. She taught me the value of hard work and resilience. Every morning we rise and push through obstacles. I want to channel that grit into everything I do, into every project, every team meeting. Hope can turn into action if you let it. The room shifted, energy surging as if the walls themselves had started to pulse. Mia could see faces turning thoughtful, some even moved. It felt like a transformation, the glimmers of understanding igniting in their eyes. It's not just about the bottom line, Mia continued, her voice rising. It's about weaving stories and dreams into the fabric of the company. It's about making a real difference. With each sentence, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Maybe she was getting through after all. She caught the millionaire's eye and held it for a heartbeat longer. In that moment, she felt cherished even among the shadows, a flicker of light refusing to be snuffed out. But before the meeting could conclude, the CEO raised his hand. The room hushed again. I have to say, your initiative and conviction are commendable. However, our decision isn't just based on one story, he said, his tone shifting slightly. We still have several candidates to consider. The words hung in the air like an unyielding cloud. Mia's heart sank, dread pooling in her stomach. Did this mean she hadn't done enough? Had her passion fallen short? As the meeting adjourned, she left the room feeling like the world had shifted again. The outcome feeling uncertain and fragile. She could only hope that her words had planted a seed, not just for herself, but for the future of everyone like her, whose dreams could barely reach beyond the concrete walls. Would her tenacity shine through the shadows? Tomorrow would be another day filled with possibility, but would it be the day that changed everything? The thought lingered, a challenge she never shied away from. Her journey wasn't over yet. Her heart would fight on. Would she find a way to turn this moment of doubt into a defining victory? The sun rose with a fresh promise, illuminating the city in a golden hue. Mia stepped out of her apartment, a little tremor in her gut reminding her of yesterday's lingering shadows. Each step was a mix of hope and anxiety, the familiar streets suddenly echoing louder this morning, her heartbeat rallying with every stride. She arrived at the cafe where she often found solace. The barista, a young woman with a warm smile, greeted her with a knowing nod. You've got this, Mia, she encouraged, sensing the weight she carried. Mia managed a tight-lipped smile, grateful for the support of strangers who often felt like friends. Settled at her usual corner table, Mia took a moment to gather her thoughts. She pulled out a notebook filled with sketches and scribbles, reminders of her purpose. New ideas bubbled in her mind like fresh coffee brewing. It was time to channel yesterday's setback into fuel for a comeback. She had a plan, a vision for how she could showcase her skills beyond mere words. As she wrote, her pen danced across the page, creating a roadmap for a workshop that blended storytelling and teamwork, a session centered on connection, empathy, and the art of lifting each other up. What if I could transform the corporate culture into something that sparkles with possibility? She murmured to herself, excitement piercing the hesitance that haunted her. Hours later, the clock inched toward her second meeting at the agency. The office was alive with familiar faces from the day before. Today there was something different in the atmosphere, almost electric. Mia felt the pulse of determination flowing among them, a shared journey of each individual fighting for their dreams. As she waited for the CEO to address the group, the door swung open, revealing the man who held their fates in his hands. But instead of stepping onto his usual pedestal, he moved among them, engaging in small talk, listening intently. A wave of warmth enveloped the room, and Mia found herself captivated by this side of him. He was human, approachable, a reminder that even the highest figures could connect on basic levels. The meeting began, and Mia felt the stirrings of unease transform into something more resolute. When it was her turn to share her revamped presentation, she stood tall, her heart pounding with an indescribable mix of hope and adrenaline. She spoke of her workshop plans with fervor, painting vivid pictures of teamwork and joy, touching on the potential for change that resonated not just in profit margins, but in personal connections. Imagine a workplace where collaboration is celebrated, where empathy leads the way, she declared, locking eyes with the CEO, willing him to feel the truth in her words. The room was quiet, absorbed in her vision. Just as she finished, an unexpected voice from the back chimed in. How do you plan to measure the impact of this experience? It was a challenge weighted with disbelief, and the attention shifted onto her like a spotlight. Mia hesitated, thoughts racing. It was the moment she dreadfully anticipated, but she quickly drew on the well of inspiration inside her. Through change, she responded firmly. Through the stories born from shared experiences, and how they ripple outward into our communities. The room felt charged. She could see eyes widen and brows raise in contemplation. Suddenly, the CEO nodded, admiration flickering on his expression. That's a powerful idea, Mia, he said, cutting through the tension. Let us see how we can bring that to life. Mia's heart soared as her vision found fertile ground. The doubt that had once gripped her began to dissolve, replaced with exhilarating possibilities. But even as she celebrated, another thought crept in. Was this enough? Could her dream connect not just with the CEO but cascade into a legacy for others? The day drifted into evening, the conversation still buzzing in her mind. She walked home, the adrenaline coursing through her, daring to believe in change. Yet deep down, a new unease began to coil in her stomach. If her vision turned into action, could she handle the backfire if it didn't go as planned? Mia was about to move from dreaming to doing, but the real challenge was yet to unfold, and she needed to brace herself for whatever came next. What awaited her on the other side of that leap? The next morning, Mia woke to the soft rays of sunlight streaming through her window. As the warmth enveloped her, a sense of possibility washed over her. Today was the day she would begin transforming her vision into reality. Filled with hope, she pulled herself out of bed, her mind racing with plans and what-ifs. She brewed her morning coffee but found herself distracted, thoughts swirling like steam rising from her cup. What if they loved her workshop? What if they didn't? Anxiety tugged at her, but she fought back with the surge of determination she felt yesterday. After a quick breakfast, she slipped into a comfortable outfit, a favorite blue blouse that made her feel confident. Arriving at the agency, Mia noticed the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation, more intense than the day before. Conversations hummed like bees in a hive, everyone focused on the upcoming changes. She could feel it, this shared commitment to something greater, a cocoon of collective energy that both excited and terrified her. As she walked through the office, she spotted familiar faces. A few colleagues stopped her, exchanging encouraging words, their support lifting her spirits. It's time, she whispered to herself, clutching her notebook tightly, like holding on to a life raft in the sea of uncertainty. And the conference room, she set up for the first workshop. The long table was surrounded by eager faces, some filled with curiosity, and others with skepticism. Mia took a deep breath, absorbing the moment's gravity. She was leading this, she reminded herself, and this was her chance to create change. Welcome, everyone. She began, her voice steady, radiating enthusiasm. She shared her vision again, explaining how fostering empathy and collaboration could reshape their corporate culture. This is not just a workshop, she said. This is a journey we'll embark on together. As she guided them through interactive exercises, the energy in the room shifted. Laughter bubbled up as colleagues connected over stories, sharing their experiences and vulnerabilities. Mia watched as barriers began to crumble. She could see faces light up with understanding and laughter. It was beautiful. Those moments ignited something deep within her, a flicker of hope that her vision could indeed turn into a tangible reality. Yet as the workshop progressed, a familiar voice echoed in her mind, the challenger from yesterday. How will you measure the impact? This haunting question lingered, tightening her chest. How could she ensure this wasn't just a momentary shift but a lasting change? Determined not to shy away from accountability, she posed an idea to the group. Let us create a shared commitment, she said, igniting a discussion on metrics that mattered, real changes in their daily interactions, and a tangible impact on teamwork. The conversation continued to flow, and Mia felt her own worries start to crack under the warmth of collaboration. As the session ended, applause filled the room, and Mia beamed with pride. They had made progress, more than she could have hoped for. But just as she was about to take a breath of relief, a shadow fell over her heart. The CEO was due to announce the next steps in a meeting tomorrow. Would he back her up? Would the fire they had ignited burn bright enough to echo beyond that room? As her colleagues left, Mia lingered behind, lost in thought. She had sparked something. Yet the fear loomed large. What if she wasn't enough? As she gathered her materials, a soft voice interrupted her turmoil. It was the supportive barista from the cafe, who must have noticed her retreating energy. Mia, she said, her eyes glinting with genuine concern. You can't doubt yourself. Every great change starts with a single step and brave heart. Trust in your spark. Mia smiled through the grip of uncertainty, momentarily bolstered by the warmth of her friend's words. The road ahead seemed daunting, but perhaps, just perhaps, she could handle whatever came next. Yet reality loomed near. The meeting was tomorrow, and all her fears tangled together like unruly vines. Tomorrow would bring clarity or chaos. Would she be ready to stand firm in what she had started, facing whatever challenges lay ahead? Mia spent a restless night wrestling with her thoughts. Each tick of the clock echoed with unease, a countdown to the meeting that felt like an impending storm. She tossed and turned, replaying every moment of the workshop, every smile and every whisper of doubt. In the quiet of her room, shadows danced across the walls, mirroring the turmoil inside her. Morning arrived with an intensity that stung her eyes. She forced herself out of bed, her reflection in the mirror a battle of determination and fear. The blue blouse hung neatly in her closet, but this time, it felt like a uniform for a soldier heading into combat. She slipped it on, smoothed the fabric, and focused on the mission ahead. To convince the CEO that her vision could thrive. As she stepped into the agency, the atmosphere felt different. A raw mix of excitement and anxiety washed over the office. Colleagues moved about with purpose, a palpable tension stringing everyone together. Mia felt her heart race. She was now part of something bigger. Yet the burden of expectations loomed heavily. In the conference room, Mia took a deep breath. The faces she had inspired just yesterday were replaced by a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. The CEO, a man known for his sharp critique and high standards, took his place at the head of the table. Mia's palms grew clammy as she set her notes down, her heart drumming loudly in her chest. Good morning, everyone, the CEO began, surveying the room. I'm eager to hear about the workshop outcomes. His eyes zeroed in on Mia, and she fought the urge to shrink back. Mia, would you like to start? Absolutely, she said, her voice cracking slightly. She gathered her courage as she spoke, recalling the animated discussions from the workshop, the laughter, the connections. We've made significant strides toward fostering a culture of empathy, she said, letting her passion weave through her words. But what truly matters is how we can maintain that energy moving forward. She presented her ideas for shared commitments and metrics, emphasizing the importance of following through. As she spoke, she could see the skepticism on the CEO's face, and her heart fluttered erratically. Then, unexpectedly, he nodded slightly, engaging with her thoughts instead of shutting them down. I appreciate your enthusiasm, Mia, he said, his tone shifting to something more contemplative. But enthusiasm is not enough. I need results. He leaned back, crossing his arms, signaling the intensity of the conversation that was to come. There was a tense silence. Uncertainty clenched at Mia's gut, and the pressure of the room felt like a vice. I understand, she replied, steadying her breath. Results are imperative, and I want to be held accountable. But change doesn't happen overnight. It requires our collective commitment and patience. The CEO's expression softened for a brief moment. It was just a flicker, but it made her heartbeat quicken. Had she connected with him? Very well, he said, eyeing her intently. I want to see a clear plan with actionable goals. A timeline. After the workshop, what's next? Mia's thoughts raced. A timeline, actionable goals. Right then she realized she could lead them toward that path. I can compile a proposal, she said, a newfound determination filling her voice. We can track our progress through monthly feedback sessions and team reflections. It's about creating accountability while fostering this culture. The mood seemed to shift in the room, colleagues nodding as they engaged in her vision. But in a heartbeat, she noticed hesitation flicker across the CEO's face again. But what about those in this room who may resist? Change is never easy, he challenged. Mia felt her heart pounding, reminding herself of her journey thus far. That's why empathy is crucial, she replied, feeling grounded. If we navigate this together, addressing concerns as they arise, we can build trust within our team. As the meeting continued, she felt connected to her colleagues and even to the CEO in a strange way. Each exchange built bridges instead of barriers, a momentum that pulsed with life. Hope ignited when they wrapped up. Mia's chest swelled with pride. But as she cleared her materials, she couldn't shake the looming doubt. Had she truly made an impression? Would the CEO back her vision when it mattered most? Outside the conference room, as the energy still bubbled within her, a sense of trepidation began to creep back in. Tomorrow would bring a follow-up conversation. Could the spark she ignited grow into a full flame? Would she be able to lead beyond just the workshop? Mia stood at the edge of a new chapter, staring into an uncertain future. And as moments of doubt nudged at her spirit, she didn't just want to survive. She wanted to thrive. Tomorrow would reveal everything she hoped for or force her to confront the truth. Which path would she follow? The sun peeked through the blinds, painting stripes of gold across Mia's room. She sat on the edge of her bed, a knot of nerves twisting in her stomach. Today was the moment of truth. Her proposal had the potential to reshape the agency, to infuse it with a fresh spirit. But there was a chasm between potential and reality, and she felt the weight of that gap pressing down on her. After a quick breakfast, she grabbed her notes, giving each page a nervous glance. The bullet points felt sturdy enough, but how she'd present them well, that was where the magic lay. She needed not just to speak but to inspire. At the agency, the atmosphere buzzed with an undercurrent of anticipation. Colleagues were glued to their screens, fingers flying across keyboards. Mia recognized that energy. It mirrored her own. She took a moment to breathe, the scent of fresh coffee wafting through the air grounding her in reality. This was her world, her team, and today, she was ready to fight for them. When the conference room door swung open, Mia could feel her heart thumping wildly in her chest. The CEO was already seated, flipping through notes. This was it. "All right, folks," he said, sounding both engaging and intimidating. "Let us hear what Mia has put together for us." With each word he spoke, Mia felt the room shift. This was a collective experience now, not just her battle to win. She stood, clutching her papers tightly, and approached the table. She looked around at her colleagues. Their faces reflected the hope she felt inside. "Thank you for the opportunity to present my proposal today," she began, her voice steady. "Yesterday we talked about empathy and connection. Today, I want to discuss how we turn those ideals into our everyday reality." Mia launched into her plan, detailing how they could cultivate a nurturing environment that didn't just allow for growth but celebrated it. Her ideas transformed into strategies. She shared examples, sparking nods of recognition and interest. There was energy rippling through the room. People were engaging, leaning in, offering their own insights. But just as Mia sensed the positive shift, a familiar shadow crept back. "I still worry about those who may oppose this," the CEO interjected, his voice authoritative. "What makes you believe this approach will actually work?" She felt the wind knocked out of her, but instead of retreating, she leaned into the challenge. "Because I believe in the ripple effect of positive change," she responded, her voice gaining strength. "If we lead with genuine compassion, others will follow. It's not about changing everyone overnight. It's about guiding those who are unsure to see the potential." The air in the room thickened with deliberation. Mia's heartbeat thundered in her ears as she watched the CEO. This was a test of not just her ideas but her resolve. After several long seconds, he nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. "Very well," he said, his tone shifting. "Show me who's willing to embrace this journey." It was a milestone, a step toward not just her vision but a new direction for the agency. Colleagues began to murmur among themselves. Excitement buzzed through the room. A flicker of hope ignited within her. But amid that hope, Mia couldn't shake off the foreboding thought: what if not enough people joined her? What if she failed to inspire? As the meeting wrapped up, Mia left feeling lighter, but the shadow of doubt still lingered. Tomorrow would reveal the team's willingness to embrace her vision or hold on to the past. Could she truly lead change amidst resistance? The answers were just around the corner, waiting to unfold. The next day dawned with a sense of urgency. Mia awoke with thoughts racing. The faces of her colleagues from the meeting played in her mind like a reel of highlights and lowlights. Each expression she caught, each nod of agreement, felt both reassuring and precarious. Today they would reveal their willingness to step forward. And she wasn't sure if her hope could withstand the weight of expectation. She moved through her morning routine. The sunlight felt different. It pressed warmly against her skin yet cast long shadows that teased her. Every moment seemed laced with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Would they take that leap with her? Or would they tether themselves to the safety of the familiar? When she arrived at the agency, the atmosphere pulsed with electric tension. Colleagues exchanged glances and whispered behind closed doors, planning, formulating their responses to what Mia had proposed. Would they embrace her ideas or let fear shackle them? It wasn't long before everyone was called into the conference room again. The walls felt closer, the air tighter. Mia's heart raced. She stood at the front, awaiting feedback, each second stretching, filling with silence. The CEO began. Overnight, I received your thoughts on Mia's proposal. He paused, scanning the room before his eyes landed on Mia. Some seem supportive but others are uncertain. Her stomach knotted. She could hardly breathe as he opened the floor to questions. One colleague, Jenna, hesitantly raised her hand. Mia, I love the idea of building a nurturing environment, but I worry. What if we try and fail? What if it backfires? Mia took a breath, grounding herself in Jenna's sincerity. But what if we don't try? What if we continue doing the same things, expecting different results? Her voice steadied as she spoke. I believe in us. Together we can create something amazing. A place where we all thrive. Another colleague chimed in. But adapting to this change is going to take time and effort. We've got to be committed. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. It worried Mia that the talk of commitment seemed to anchor everyone's enthusiasm. Was it too much of a stretch for them? You're right, she replied, attempting to keep her tone encouraging yet realistic. Change is never easy. But if we unite, our efforts can reshape this agency. If one person falters, the others will lift them up. That's the beauty of teamwork. The energy in the room flickered, sparking a blend of hope and hesitation. Mia's heart beat faster as she watched her colleagues wrestle with their fears, balancing on a precipice between the known and the unknown. Just then the CEO lifted his hand, commanding silence. Mia has made an important point. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress together. He looked around the room, gauging reactions, nervous faces and hesitant nods, but with traces of excitement hidden behind them. Then, someone in the back stood up cautiously. It was Mark, a senior designer known for his cynicism. I'll admit I was ready to dismiss this, but I want to see what happens if we really lean into this. Mia's heart soared. Yes, if Mark could find the courage to support her, maybe others would too. A few others followed suit. Hands rose in agreement. One after another, colleagues voiced their commitment to Mia's vision, affirming their readiness to step forward. An undeniable excitement rippled through the room. But as waves of enthusiasm coursed through her veins, a single unease pricked at Mia's heart. What if those who hadn't spoken up were left behind? What if this newfound energy didn't sustain? As the meeting began to wrap up, the CEO addressed the team. Let us explore this together, but we must hold ourselves accountable. This will require hard work and commitment. Mia watched the sparks of determination ignite among her peers. Hope mingled with fear, forming a complicated but charged atmosphere. What had started as a seed of an idea was now blossoming. But as she stepped into the hall, the question loomed larger than before. With the support she had gained, was she equipped to lead in a way that would truly inspire lasting change? And as she pondered all this, a new voice echoed inside her. Just below the surface, could today be the beginning of her greatest journey yet? Mia stepped into the soft, muted light of the hallway, her mind racing with a whirlwind of thoughts. The buzz from the conference room was still alive in her ears. A mix of excitement and worry floated around her like a stubborn fog. Colleagues passed by, faces lit with hope and a twinge of anxiety. But Mia couldn't shake the doubt that clung to her. Was she really the right person for this? As she made her way to her office, she remembered the thrill in Mark's voice when he supported her. It felt like a lifeline thrown across a vast distance. She smiled, but the gentle tug of uncertainty still lingered. Her hand grazed the door handle, hesitating. What if this shift revealed cracks in their work culture? What if the very foundation they were trying to build began to crumble beneath them? She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The familiar scent of coffee and fresh paper washed over her. The chaos of the day swirled around her, but she focused on her desk. A few photos, a coffee cup half full of now cold brew, and scattered notes reflected her frenzied mind. It felt overwhelming yet strangely exhilarating. This was hers, her little corner of possibility. Mia sat down and grabbed a stack of papers, organizing her thoughts while her mind wandered back to the meeting. Other colleagues had stepped up, but a handful had remained quiet. She wondered what was going through their heads. Maybe they were scared, maybe they didn't feel like they had a voice. The last thing she wanted was to leave anyone behind in this journey. Flipping through her notes, she stumbled upon her proposed initiatives for fostering inclusiveness and creativity. She had envisioned open forums, shared spaces where everyone's voice could echo. Not just those who naturally stepped into the spotlight. But did they have the courage to dive into those discussions? Suddenly, her phone vibrated, snapping her back to the present. It was Jenna, sending a quick message. "Great meeting. I'm still feeling pumped but also worried about the quiet ones. How can we get them involved?" Mia's heart swelled at Jenna's thoughtfulness. It was clear that concern for others was a shared sentiment, and maybe together they could create that bridge. The thought of reaching out to her colleagues was daunting but also thrilling. Maybe she could organize a casual lunch, a chance for everyone to voice thoughts about the changes. Nothing formal, just an open space to express fears and hopes. They could brainstorm as a team together as collaborators rather than competitors. But as she sat there planning, another voice crept back into her mind, the nagging insecurities that had followed her like a shadow, whispering questions about her worthiness as a leader. Was she naturally equipped to guide them through this change? Each idea felt like a stepping stone into the unknown, one she wasn't sure she could leap across. Mia glanced out her office window, the sun sprinkling golden light across the city. A deep breath calmed her as the realization hit. Leadership wasn't about having all the answers. It was about creating an environment where everyone felt confident to explore the unknown together. This was about them just as much as it was about her. She quickly began drafting an email, inviting everyone to a lunch meeting. It felt liberating, a first step in the direction of unity. With each word, the silence surrounding her faded, replaced by a hope that perhaps she could nurture that sense of belonging she craved in the office. Confidently pressing send, Mia leaned back in her chair. There was still a long way to go. But now the shadows held a possibility of being transformed into light. She was ready for whatever came next, even if it meant wrestling with her fears. As she replayed the day's momentum in her head, a sense of determination ignited within her. But behind it, a deeper question began to emerge. What if one of her colleagues had a life-changing experience to share? A story they hesitated to tell. What if this journey offered not only her growth but the chance to uplift someone else's hidden battles too? The next day came with an energy that felt both electric and unnerving. Mia woke up early, her mind racing with the hopes of the lunch meeting she had set up. A simple gathering, but it felt bigger than that, like a leap into the unknown that could reshape everything. The air in her apartment buzzed with anticipation as she prepared herself. As she stood in front of her mirror, adjusting the collar of her blouse, she caught a glimpse of a note stuck to the frame. It was a reminder from herself, written in bold black ink. "You can do this." The words were a lighthouse in a fog. It was easy to forget, especially on a day like today, so she took a moment to breathe deeply and let that mantra sink in. Arriving at the office, Mia could sense a different atmosphere. Colleagues buzzed with chatter. The excitement from the meeting and the invite she sent out hung in the air like an unasked question. Who would show up? Who would speak? She set up the conference room early, laying out sandwiches and drinks on a long table, as decorative as her nervous energy allowed. Each item on the table felt like a small invitation for conversation, a chance for people to express themselves without the tensions of formal presentations or corporate restraints. As the clock ticked closer to the start time, faces began to filter in, each one a mix of curiosity and uncertainty. Jenna arrived first, her warm smile a calming signal amidst Mia's budding anxiety. "Hey there. Ready for this?" Jenna asked, her enthusiasm infectious. Mia nodded, though inside she felt the flutter of nervous butterflies. "I hope so. Just want everyone to feel included, you know?" "Absolutely. And if anyone gets quiet, we'll pull them in. We're a team, right?" Jenna encouraged, tapping Mia lightly on the shoulder. More colleagues trickled in, and Mia watched as their faces shifted from worried to intrigued as they tasted the sandwiches and began chatting softly. Here, beneath the fluorescent lights and among mundane office decor, The emotions felt charged. Once most employees were seated, Mia cleared her throat, her heart thudding away like a drum. Thanks for coming, everyone. I just wanted this to be a space for us to talk, to share, she began, her voice steadying with each word. Not just about the changes coming but how we can support one another. I believe everyone has something valuable to share. A few nods met her gaze and the initial tension eased. Conversations erupted as some colleagues began to share their thoughts and ideas, while others listened eagerly. It didn't take long before the room's energy shifted from cautious to animated. Laughter bubbled over a light-hearted anecdote from Jenna, and Mia found herself settling into the moment. But then, amidst the noise, a voice she hardly expected broke through. I'd like to share something. It was Laura, a soft-spoken introvert who had often blended into the background. Eyes widened in surprise as everyone shifted their attention to her. Mia felt her heart leap, a mixture of worry and excitement. What would Laura share? Spotting the hesitation in Laura's eyes as she toyed nervously with her fingers, Mia jumped in. Absolutely, Laura. We're all ears. Laura took a deep breath, the surrounding buzz fading into a focused silence. I had a rough childhood. I spent a lot of time feeling invisible, like I didn't belong. But when I started working here, the feeling of being included started to change everything for me. Mia leaned forward, captivated. The room watched in rapt attention as Laura continued, her story weaving a tapestry of struggle and perseverance that resonated deeply with everyone's shared experiences. Mia realized this was what she had wanted to create, a safe space, not just for experiences, but for authentic connections to thrive. The lunch meeting could be the beginning of something far beyond what she had imagined. But just as the mood soared, Mia was hit by a thought. What if Laura's story inspired someone else to open up? What if they had even deeper stories to share? Ones that could break barriers and bond them even closer? The lunch became a melting pot of hope and healing. But Mia's mind began racing with more questions and possibilities. What would come from these open conversations down the line? Where could they lead next? As the laughter echoed and the voices intertwined, Mia felt a warmth bloom in her chest. There was no denying it, they were building something beautiful here. But just beneath the surface, a new concern was brewing. Could they navigate the complexities of their work environment while fostering this newfound openness? Days from now, would the connections made today hold? And what else lay waiting just out of reach, ripe for discovery? The days swept by, each one stitching deeper connections within the agency. Mia's lunch meetings became a weekly ritual, a sanctuary where colleagues shared their stories, laughter mingled with tears, and a collective vulnerability blossomed into strength. The warmth of camaraderie filled the conference room, transforming it into a hub of ideas and creativity. As Mia led these gatherings, she felt a shift within herself. A newfound confidence emerged, one that felt earned through every hesitating voice that had graced the room. Colleagues who once lingered on the sidelines were now stepping into the light, sharing dreams and apprehensions alike. And with every shared tale, the wall of reserved skepticism began to crumble, revealing raw corners of humanity that had long been buried beneath professionalism. One afternoon, as the sun streamed through the office windows, illuminating the faces around the table, Mia noticed Mark, the once cynical designer, leaning back with a thoughtful expression. He began slowly. I've noticed a change. People are more willing to talk, to challenge ideas. I feel like I can actually contribute now. The air shifted with a palpable energy. Mia smiled brightly, her heart swelling with pride. That's exactly why we started this, she said, her voice ringing with conviction. Finding our voices isn't just about output. It's about forging connections that drive innovation and empathy. But beneath the surface of her growing optimism, lingered a concern. How could they ensure this cultural shift was sustainable? What would happen when the novelty of openness wore off, and the weight of work pressures bore down again? Determined not to stifle this momentum, Mia proposed the idea of creating a culture committee, a group dedicated to nurturing these values throughout everyday operations. Ideas sprang forth. Colleagues brainstormed ways to integrate storytelling into team builds, regular check-ins, and creativity workshops. Each suggestion was met with enthusiasm. Mia felt electric, transforming uncertainty into action. Our shared experiences can redefine this agency, she declared, her enthusiasm infectious. Let us take this vision and bring it to every corner of our workplace. Days turned into weeks, and soon the Culture Committee, comprising enthusiastic representatives from every department, began laying foundation stones for their collective dream. Moments of hesitation and doubt were weathered together, as they sought ways to cultivate engagement and accountability among all employees. But with change came ebb and flow, and Mia could sense the challenges looming ahead. As the committee's reputation strengthened, resistance emerged from pockets of the agency, doubts fueled by some who feared losing control or feeling vulnerable. Mia needed to address this head-on, understanding that transparency would be just as crucial as her initial vision. When the time came for her to present their progress to the CEO and the larger team, Mia's heart raced. The atmosphere grew heavier, the stakes feeling higher. As she faced her colleagues and laid out the committee's plans, she caught sight of frowns and raised eyebrows. It was now or never. Mia breathed deeply. What we're building here is more than just a new program. It's a promise to connect, to uplift one another, and to turn vulnerability into strength. Yes, change is challenging, but isn't it worth it? To turn this space into one we can all feel proud of? Silence draped the room as she charged through her proposal, showcasing data and feedback, their newfound commitment to creating a nurturing environment. Gradually, nods of affirmation began to sprout among her colleagues, the tides of doubt shifting bit by bit. Without waiting for the COS verdict, Mia pointedly addressed the room. I know change isn't easy, it can feel risky. But together, we can create a ripple effect that transforms not just our workplace but spills out into our communities. Stories matter. Voices matter. An unexpected voice broke through the murmur, one Mia had hoped would eventually support her. It was Laura, steely and bold. Mia's right. We've seen the effects in our little meetings. This isn't just about business. It's about humanity. If we can lean on each other, we can achieve so much more. Suddenly, the room buzzed with energy as others began to speak out. We've felt it too. Jenna chimed in. The connections we've fostered are turning into real debates and ideas. As support mounted, the COS brows furrowed thoughtfully, absorbing the fervor growing within that room, an undeniable testament to their collective journey. When he finally spoke, his demeanor shifted. I see your passion and it encourages me. Let us put together tangible timelines and milestones that can guide us forward. But you will need to hold each other accountable. Mia felt relief wash over her, a wave of hope surging forth. This moment wasn't just a small victory. It felt monumental. Together, they had taken strides to prove that their voices mattered, a chorus building strength beyond their individual stories. Over the ensuing weeks, the committee's initiatives flourished, embedding real change into the very fabric of their work culture. Team feedback transformed from begrudging evaluations into honest exchanges, with everyone sharing precious lessons learned or hard-earned insights. Mia's heart felt full as she walked through the agency. Smiles greeted her, laughter echoed off the walls, and colleagues who once felt distant now engaged her with fiery discussions about ideas and innovations swirling in their minds. Each story shared, each connection forged became a testament that the dreams they collectively nurtured could ignite something far brighter than any of them could have imagined. Mia felt alive, not just as a leader but as part of a family formed in the crucible of shared fears, hopes, and the audacity to build something great together. As Mia glanced out the window one afternoon, she caught sight of her neighborhood beyond the skyscrapers, a mosaic of struggles and triumphs. She silently thanked her roots, reflecting on how far she'd come, and knew, no matter where her journey took her next, she'd carry not just her story, but the stories of everyone who sailed alongside her, bound by empathy and the relentless spirit to rise above a world that often sought to keep them down. This was just the beginning, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. You need to subscribe now to stay tuned for the next inspiring journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let others discover these heartwarming transformations. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. We want to hear your thoughts. And please share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Every share counts, and only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let's spread the positivity.